All right, welcome to this explainer of Chapter 13 from Stephan Kreuk's The Living Signature of God. Today, we're unpacking a truly transformative and honestly kind of wild concept: why nonstop action is absolutely not the secret to being effective. In a fast-paced world that constantly screams at us to do more, move faster, and hustle harder, we're about to completely flip the script.
So think about this for a second. What if doing absolutely nothing is actually the most productive action you can take? I know, it disrupts literally everything we've been taught about jumping in and fixing our problems immediately, right? How on earth can not doing something actually be productive? Well, Stephan Kreuk challenges our cultural obsession with immediate solutions by introducing this idea of the right moment. And as you'll see, sometimes the most powerful, brilliant move you can make is simply choosing to wait.
You see, we're all constantly battling between two totally distinct internal responses. First, you've got the old voice. This is driven by your amygdala, which is basically your brain's panic alarm. It screams, tackle it, fix it, do it right now. But then there's the new voice, and this operates from the prefrontal cortex, your rational, logical center. This voice, it's patient. It actually trusts the process and realizes that, hey, not every single challenge requires a frantic 5-alarm reaction.
This brings us to part 1, the urge to fix. We've all been deeply conditioned to think that inactivity equals failure. But man, that mindset leads to some severe burnout. When an awkward silence hits or a conflict pops up, our ego hates the uncertainty. It wants to exert influence instantly. But when we take on burdens that just aren't ours to carry, we end up completely overloaded. We generate this massive, unnecessary stress by believing the whole world depends solely on our action. And the worst part? By reacting in a frantic rush, we force terrible, unsustainable solutions before we even have all the facts.
To see this in action, let's move into part 2, Mark the micromanager. Let's look at Mark. He's a software team leader who is absolutely obsessed with instant fixes. On day 1, a complex bug hits his system, and his immediate amygdala-driven impulse is to force his entire team into overtime. But a senior programmer manages to talk him down, convincing him to just give it some space. So he waits. And by day 3, something amazing happens. By doing literally nothing, the bug stabilized and neutralized itself organically in the test environment. No panic required. Mark discovered that his conscious not doing actually yielded the absolute best results for his team. Later on, during a pretty heated conflict between two of his key developers, he resisted his usual urge to jump in and play referee. By simply giving them space and biting his tongue, they actually found a mutually acceptable solution completely on their own. His absence was the secret ingredient.
And that beautifully sets up part 3, the wisdom of nature.
Kreuk captures this phenomenon perfectly with this quote: "Not every void asks for filling. Sometimes space is needed for what must grow." I just love that. A lack of immediate action isn't some terrifying void that you have to frantically plug up. It's actually the exact space required for a natural, healthy resolution to take root. Think about it like this. When you plant a seed in a garden, you don't stand over it, grab the tiny green sprout, and yank it upward to force it to grow, right? That would kill it. You leave it alone. The sun shines, the rain falls, and while you are completely still, the earth does the heavy lifting. Well, human conflicts, complex work problems, shifting perspectives, they require this exact same organic grace period to resolve. Let's elevate this idea in part 4, the living signature. Kreuk points out that finding your true freedom lies in trusting a timing that reaches way, way beyond our own stressful little schedules. Surrendering our obsessive need for control is actually an acknowledgement of a higher sovereignty. It's realizing we don't have to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders because there is a God who is actively working even while we rest. It takes the pressure right off. So, how do we practically do this? That's part 5, pressing the pause button. For our inner engineer to actually rewire these conditioned responses, we have to look at the neuroscience. We absolutely must shift control away from the amygdala. Again, that fear-driven panic alarm that just pushes us toward exhaustion and forced action. By actively choosing to wait, we engage the prefrontal cortex instead. This is the logical center that governs conscious observation, long-term planning, and ultimately true wisdom and rest. So the next time a problem pops up, I want you to follow these exact 3 steps before you ever react. First, mentally press the pause button and just take a deep breath. Second, ask yourself, is this actually urgent or is it just important? Those are 2 very different things. And third, trust the invisible work. Acknowledge that background processes,
like people's emotions cooling down or new information coming to light, are already working in your favor.
Filtering your daily tasks through a tool like the Eisenhower Matrix is a great way to train your brain in this. You'll quickly realize that not every single email, team conflict, or project hiccup falls into that red alert, urgent, and important category. Actually, scratch that, most things don't. Many situations simply require the space to organically resolve themselves.
Which brings us to our final section, Part 6, Ancient Wisdom for Modern Minds. It's fascinating how these modern neurospiritual concepts are so deeply grounded in ancient truth. As this verse from Isaiah points out, our true power doesn't come from frantic doing or endless hustling. No, it comes from quietness and deep confidence. It's the exact opposite of our natural human tendency to rely on hyperactive interventions. Letting go of our urge for total control is the ultimate act of acknowledging a wisdom that is far greater than our own. When we literally choose to be still, we make room for a higher plan to unfold. And in a world that constantly demands our micromanagement, choosing stillness is a radically powerful act of letting go. So I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought as you work on transforming from a prisoner of constant action into an inner engineer who acts from a place of true rest. Look at your own life right now. What problem are you currently pulling on like a planted seed? Where can you step back today, hit pause, and just let the earth work? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this empowers you to embrace the incredible power of wise timing.